back to the news at 10. Motorists and commuters are calling on Lagos State Governor Akinwumi Ambode and enforcement agencies to declare a state of emergency on the Oshodi-Apapa Expressway. The call is coming on the heels of the occupation of 6 lanes of the Oshodi-Apapa Highway stretching beyond Isolo area by trucks. Channels Television gathered that residents of the area now have to spend more hours on the road due to the gridlock, which has intensified in the last 48 hours. For several months, the presence of trucks have been a regular sight on major highways. The federal government has promised an immediate relief for those affected by recent flash floods in some parts of Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. The Vice President, Professor Yemi Oshibajo, gave the assurance today when he visited the areas affected by the flood, which claimed at least 11 lives and destroyed property. The Vice President also advised residents to be more conscious of their environment and desist from dumping refuse in drains.
What we're looking at is how this can be enhanced, how the drainage can be enhanced, how the channelization can be enhanced, and we're in discussions with His Excellency the Governor to see in what specific ways the federal government can be of assistance. But we have to really sit down and look at those issues carefully. Of course, we are providing immediate relief material to support the state government. The Director General of NEMA is here, providing that immediate circle and assistance. But I think on a more permanent basis, we'll be working very closely with the governor to see how we can assist in improving the drainage infrastructure and improving the sewage infrastructure generally. And that's a much more substantive issue, and we have to really sit down and look at the details.
Walter Smith Refinery and Petroleum Company has signed an agreement of $35 million with Africa Finance Corporation to build an oil refinery in Ibigwe area of Imo State. Another investor in the project, the Nigeria Content Development Management Board, says measures are being put in place to ensure Nigerians occupy key positions in the operation and management of the refinery. The refinery is expected to produce a total of 5,000 barrels per day and subsequently increase to 30,000 barrels per day in the next 4 years.
Stakeholders, investors and partners gather in Lagos for the $35 million debt facility agreement between Walter Smith Refinery and Petrochemical Company and the Africa Finance Corporation.
After this facility agreement signing,
the funds will be used to build a petroleum refinery to be located in Imo State.
Walter Smith will be able to contribute about 271 million liters of refined products annually to the Nigerian economy, serve as an import substitution for meeting domestic demand for petroleum products, create both direct and indirect employment opportunities, as well as reduce the amount of foreign exchange demand on the country's treasury needed to import these products.
This is a very important milestone, but obviously this is not the end of the road. The end of the road is actually when we switch on the plant and when the refined petroleum products start coming out and become available for our economy. That will be when we can then beat our chest and say, yes, we have delivered.
On the matter of local content and job security for Nigerians,
we've been doing a lot about employment of Nigerians and trying to ensure that expats that have overstayed in the country have been compelled to transfer their skills, and so that those positions should be made vacant for Nigerians to occupy.
A gradual increase from 5,000 barrels per day to 25,000 and eventually 30,000 barrels per day is the company's target, which is expected within the next 4 years.
Let's take a look at some business news now. Here's Anne Waudu.
You First. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Ijoma, and welcome to Business News. The federal government has unveiled the name and the logo of the much-awaited national carrier, which will be called Nigeria Air. The Minister of State for Aviation, Hadi Sirika, who unveiled the new identity today at the ongoing Anambra Air Show in London, says that the airline's operations, scheduled to begin in December this year, will have flights on 81 domestic, regional and international routes. He says the new national carrier will be void of government interference, as investors will have full responsibility for it. Nigeria's first national carrier was established in 1958 with more than 30 aircrafts in its fleet in the 1980s, but then it stopped operations in 2003. The House of Representatives has asked the Central Bank of Nigeria to commence the immediate withdrawal of all mutilated naira notes currently in circulation from all the banks. The resolution, which is sequel to a motion by Honorable Adekoya Abdul Majid from Ogun State, is also calling for a replacement of the worn-out notes, especially the 100 naira notes. According to him, the dirty naira notes could pose serious health risks to end users, that's if they remain in circulation. The House also mandated its Committee on Banking and Currency to work with the CBN to ensure strict compliance in handling, returning and destroying the mutilated notes and report back within 8 weeks for further legislative action. Global ratings agency Moody's today established and published a new report indicating that cement companies in Europe, Middle East and Africa, including Dangote Cement, Lafarge Holcim and Heidelberg Cement, all facing rising pressure to lower carbon emissions. According to that report, the cement industry is directly responsible for 6% of global CO2 emissions, exposing it to risks and rising carbon prices around the world. Now, this is coming amid efforts to decarbonize the global economy. Moody's further hints that the industry will face challenges of expected demand growth of 12 to 23% by 2050, and limited option producers have to make large-scale emission cuts. Latest figures in the United Kingdom's annual inflation shows a steady record for the month of June as summer clothing offsets the rise in gasoline prices. According to the UK Office for National Statistics, consumer prices rose 2.4%, keeping annual price growth in excess of the Bank of England's 2% target. But prices charged by companies at factory garments accelerated in June, gaining 3.1% year-on-year compared with an annual rise of 3% in the month of May. The data is in line with expectations that the central bank will lift benchmark interest rate next month. The NSE All-Share Index hit an 8-month low, but let's find out how. Sell-offs knocked 87 billion naira off the market. Chimezi Obiwagu tells us more.
Thank you and welcome to the Stock Market Report. The bears have maintained a firm grip on the market as the all-share index remains in the red zone, down 0.58% today. GT Bank didn't help matters as there was massive sell down on its shares, which pulled the banking sector back by 2%, coupled with the fact that there isn't enough demand to accommodate supply. The oil and gas sector is still bleeding. Investors are still uncertain on which direction the O&O matter will go. O&O share price closed on offer, having lost 9.52%. Transaction volume and value is nothing to write home about. Just a paltry 1 billion naira was made out of 181 million shares. Although the earnings season has kicked off, traders say the delay in the release of the results is a contributory factor to the negative sentiment. They are only keeping their fingers crossed and hoping for a respite anytime soon. And that was the Stock Market Report. I'm Chimezie Obi Iwagu.
Thanks a lot, Chimeze. Strong corporate earnings result also pushed U.S. and European stock markets higher today, despite the European Union's $5 billion fine on tech giant over Android antitrust abuse. In the meantime, there are some closer numbers for equities today. Thanks a lot for watching Business News Tonight. I'm Anne Nwawad. It's back to you, Gemma.
You First. First Bank.
Thanks a lot, Anne. The All Progressives Congress in Osun State has announced the postponement of the primary to choose its flag bearer for the September the 22nd governorship election that was scheduled to hold tomorrow. According to the party spokesman, Kunle Oyatomi, the primary will now hold on July the 20th. The postponement may not be unconnected to the controversy trailing the adoption of direct primaries by the state chapter of the party ahead of the polls. A group in the party had raised alarm over an alleged plan to adopt direct primaries in favour of a preferred candidate. The Anambra State Governor Willie Obiano has restated his commitment towards improving road networks around agrarian communities. Governor Obiano stated this during the flag-off of an 18.5-kilometre road at Anambra. Aside from the roads, Governor Obiano also inspected the progress of work at the remodelling of the DMG's roundabout, which he says will be ready soon.
Going by this construction signage in Anam, this 18.5-kilometre road is built for completion in 24 months by the Anambra State Government. The road, when completed, will connect 8 communities and the Kogi Federal Highway.
And this is the first time any road at all is going to pass through this area, you know. And this road will facilitate the movement of all those produce to the market and put more money in the pockets of the villagers.
To demonstrate its urgency, the governor is here to flag off the project, signifying that there's no time to waste.
It has been terrible over the years, but for you to have remembered this community, it's not just this community, because there is a network of communities around here. You are coming and awarding this road, and coming to flag off this place. You have wiped off so many tears from the eyes of people.
And from Anam, the governor moves to another site, which is the remodeling of the DMG's roundabout in Onitsha. Governor Obiano considers it necessary to redesign the location after a petrol tanker explosion in 2017.
We are going to plant trees and beautiful flowers here. Oh, wow, so to augment the beauty of this area. Beautiful. The site of a filling station there is not safe for the students at the MGS here. You know, so we need to check them out.
The designer, the State Commissioner for Environment, gives an understanding of the symbolic representation of the artwork.
We were trying to celebrate Onitsha with the Odru and the Aka, as you can see. And then it's 5 of them. Again, we're trying to recall the 5 states of the Southeast. They are not all equal. If you look, the tusks are not that equal. So we were trying to celebrate the legend of Zik and at the same time tell a story and then create a place that people can enjoy.
The state government says this site, when completed, will be illuminated to have an enhanced aesthetics both at night and during the day. There's also a promise that this will be ready soon.
Still ahead on the news at 10, Delta State government affirms readiness to host the 2018 African Senior Athletics Championships after a test run of facilities at the Stephen Keshi Stadium in Asaba. That's on sports. Please stay with us.